here at the Garden Spot Nursery, and welcome to Garden Basics. This is our new online classroom. Today's topic is our top 5 houseplants. I went around and asked my co-workers if they could only have one plant out of our collection, what would it be? So I took their ideas and my ideas and kind of put them together, and I came up with what I think are 5 really good plants to grow indoors. They all have a couple things in common. One thing in common is they're all easy to grow, and the second thing is they're all air scrubbers, which means they take toxic chemicals out of the air. And I know how important that is these days in our homes to be clean and tidy. So the first plant I'm going to talk about today is snake plant. And here's some snake plants. Snake plants come in all shapes and sizes and even growth habit. Some are tall and skinny like this guy, and some are short and round like this, like a little rosette. But the basic care is the same for all of the snake plants. They are really carefree in the sense they will take normal room temperatures. They're not fussy about that. Probably minimum 50 degrees during the winter months. They like a bright light, but they'll tolerate anything you can toss at them except for really dark rooms. Watering wise, my goodness, you can forget about it. Basically, during the spring and summer months, it's every 1 to 2 weeks, and during the winter, 1 to 2 months. So there's nothing easier than a snake plant. I think they're cool. They're very architectural. They're very stiff. You can put them in any kind of room for instant decor. They very seldom need to be repotted, so that's a plus too. And when you do repot one, you don't put them in big pots. You just go one size bigger. So for instance, I've got this guy here. This would probably be an ideal size to put this in. And right now, if I were to buy this and this pot, I probably wouldn't even worry about planting it, and I would just use it as a cover and set it in, so it would be something like that. So that's a really simple thing you can do. So everybody needs a snake plant, and they are one of the best plants for air cleaning. And what's really unique about snake plants is that they're kind of opposite of other plants. They take in carbon dioxide at night and give off oxygen. So they're an excellent plant to put in your bedroom, so you can breathe freely. And the next plant we're going to talk about today is the peace lily, or spathiphyllum. And we just got a new batch in. Isn't this lovely? It's all in full bloom. Another easy to care plant. I've grown peace lilies many times, and they're great foliage. They're a little softer looking than our friend here, the snake plant. They're another plant that tolerates almost any kind of light situation except for direct sun. So again, it's another low light plant. Water wise, they're not as forgiving as our friend the snake plant. So what I mean by that is they don't want to be really wet. So if you keep them too wet, they'll get root rot really easy. So what I've done with these is I kind of let the plant tell me when it needs water. And a lot of people do this, is you kind of, let it go until you start to see the leaves start to come down just ever so lightly. And when they start to come down, that means it needs water. Then you give it a nice drink of water, and then you wait for that to occur again. But remember, don't ever let your plants sit in water. Even after you water, you should pour off the excess water from the drip pans. Or take them to the sink and water them there and let them drain really well before you put them back in their spots. So peace lilies are great. And if you want to get them to bloom more, I know a lot of people complain my peace lily never blooms. Well, we use them as a low light plant, and that's why they don't bloom, is because they're not getting enough light. So if you get them in a spot in your house where the light is brighter, you might be blessed with more flowers on your plant. So that's a good tip to know. And again, it's another one of those great plants for taking bad things out of our air. So it is also what we call an air scrubber. So that would be the peace lily. And we got some beautiful ones in right down here, some nice big ones you can see here. So they come in all sizes. So we've got also some itty bitty babies. So there's a size for everybody, and remember, the little one's going to get bigger eventually. As far as repotting a snake plant, they are a little bit more vigorous in growing. So probably every couple of years you might have to take it up. And remember, again, when you repot a plant, it's always one pot size bigger, unless it's something that grows extremely fast. And if that's the case, you can go 2 pot sizes bigger. It's always good to stick with relatively the same depth as what it's in, but go a little wider. You can go a little deeper, but you never want to take a plant that's in like a 6-inch high pot and put it in a 10-inch high pot. You're just asking for overwatering situation to occur. So there's our peace lily. And then our next plant that was on my list that everybody likes is a pothos. And my pothos is over here. I've got a hanging one, and you can see that you can hang them and drape them. They're a vine, they're quick growing. I've seen people trail them across their room before. So if you're into jungles, that would be a great plant for your jungle. Then right below, right here, is one that's been trained up a pole. So they're very versatile plants, extremely easy to grow. I think they're probably, anybody could grow pothos. They're so simple. Again, it is a plant that will tolerate almost all types of lighting situations except for direct sunlight. And it, like I say, it's very versatile. I've had them where I've grown them on the interior of a room, and they've done just fine. Again, the pothos is also a good plant for taking toxic things out of the air. So our next character we're going to talk about is our bird's nest fern. I'm going to put this down here. And bird's nest ferns have a lot of different styles, I guess, for the lack of a better word. They're varieties. As you can see, this one here has, this is called Chrissy. Chrissy has these little, kind of almost like horns on the end of the leaves, whereas this one comes to a direct point. Then we also have this one, which is really crinkly. This is Crispy Wave. And then this is your more standard bird's nest. Now, they got their name because if you look, turn them sideways, and you look in the center of the plant, it kind of looks a little bit like a bird's nest. So that's how it got its common name. They're a fern, again, and you think of ferns as low light, and yes, this one will tolerate less light than a lot of ferns will. I like this category because I like the harder leaf on it. I find in the fern world, the stiffer the leaf, the easier it is for me to grow. And I'm all for low maintenance. I'm not into fussy. So I think this is a beautiful plant. It's very bold. It's very architectural. And it'd make a nice addition to almost any room. It'd be great in a bathroom or a kitchen where there's a little humidity, because it is a plant that likes a little humidity. Keep it evenly moist, but never ever sitting in water. Again, that's kind of the norm with everything. And you'll have one of these for many seasons to come. So the bird's nest fern, again, falls into that same category of easy care and also taking the nasties out of the air. So bird's nest fern is our fourth plant. We're up to number 5. Number 5 is a family. And the reason it's a family because there's so many of them, and I have just a couple of them here today. It's the Dracaena family. So let's just move the bird's nest down here for a second, and we'll pull up a couple of the Dracaenas I have here. And you can see how different they look. They all have kind of the strap-like leaves. Some are narrow, like this one. Some are a little bit wider. Very colorful. Some are solid green. Like this one has got the pink and the red thing going on. This is the green and kind of the gold. There's some that are all yellow. But anyway, there's a ton of them. They're great floor plants. Some of them can get 6-7 feet tall in the house. So they make great plants for large areas. Again, another group. It's another group that's easy to take care of. Dracaenas like to be in a bright indirect light is going to be their preference. Average warmth again, and water-wise, you want to water them well, but then let them dry out somewhat between their waterings. They don't want to sit in water again. Again, I keep repeating that because it's important to know. And they are also in that category of air scrubbers. Leaves sometimes will get brown tips on them, and so if you get brown tips, you can just take scissors and trim them off. It's usually an indicator of either you let the plant get too dry, or the air in your house is extremely dry and it's experiencing a little brown tips. Keep in mind, the thinner the leaf is, the more apt you are to get things like that occurring. Because when you think about the plant having to take moisture from its roots to the very tip of that leaf, that's a strain. I mean, geez, that's a lot of work, especially when you've got hundreds of leaves. So every once in a while, you'll have to groom your plants, and that goes true with any of the plants I've shown you today. A little cleaning, taking a soft cloth and wiping off the leaves on a regular basis. If it can go in the bathtub and you can run the shower on them, you can do that. Make sure you cover the soil so you don't lose all your soil in the process. But keeping the plants clean will cut down on any problems like insects and diseases that can occur. You want fertilizer, average feeding your plants on a regular basis. We've got a host line of different products that you can use for fertilizer. During the active growth period, say from spring to early fall, you could probably feed most plants maybe once every 2 weeks to a month, depending on how quickly it grows. If it's something that grows really slow, it needs less fertilizer than something that grows fast. So kind of, keep that in mind. And remember to follow the directions when you're feeding your plants. Another important thing when you're feeding plants is always make sure that they're moist before you apply the fertilizer. If a plant is extremely dry and you throw some fertilizer in there, you could burn the plant, and you don't want to do that. If you're one of those people that has trouble determining whether a plant needs water or not, we have this perfect tool for you here. It's called a moisture meter. Looks like this in this little package, and this is our moisture meter of choice here at the nursery, and it works so simple. It's like taking a temperature, essentially. You're going to poke it into the plant like so, into the soil, and then you can't see it, I'm sure, but there's a gauge on here that says dry, moist, and wet. And usually after you water, it's going to go up into the wet zone or just below the wet zone. Then with most plants, you're not going to hit them again until they're right above the dry zone. So it helps take the guesswork out of whether a plant needs water or not. So I highly recommend investing in this tool. The gals here at the nursery use it all the time to check the plants that they're taking care of, because we have lots of them to take care of. So we've gone through our top 5. I will go through them one more time. We have the snake plant over here. We have the beautiful peace lily here. And our dramatic pothos over here. And our bird's nest, which is hiding right here. And then our dracaenas. And remember, this is only 2 of many. So I thank you for stopping by today and taking a look at our new online classroom. And I'd like to invite you back to the nursery to see all these wonderful plants in person. So have a great day.